Welcome back to Next on Steam, your weekly look at upcoming Steam releases. If you're trying to figure out what's actually worth playing next, I've got 3 standout games arriving in early April, from a fast-paced arcade-style action game to a city builder where everything can collapse, and a dark dungeon crawler. Plus, one more on your radar. Let's get into it. First up, Super Alloy Crush, dropping in early access April 8th. This is a fast-paced arcade-style beat-em-up that clearly pulls inspiration from classic action side-scrollers, but with a modern, over-the-top mechanical twist. You're stepping into a sci-fi world where cosmic hunters are battling across planets in search of a legendary treasure. Everything here is built around momentum, aggression, and chaining attacks together. What stands out is how fluid and punchy the combat feels. Juggling enemies, dashing through attacks, and keeping combos alive is the core of the experience. The world leans heavily into that futuristic, industrial aesthetic, where humanity and machine power have merged and conflict is settled through raw force. This one really brings back that arcade feel, fast, responsive, and built for controller, though keyboard still holds up if that's your setup. So if you're into high-speed combat and score-chasing gameplay loops, this is one to keep your eye on. Next, All Will Fall, releasing April 3rd, 2026. This is a physics-based city builder set in a world where humanity is struggling to survive above a vast ocean. Think of the old 1995 movie Waterworld. I know. Year of the Dinosaurs. Since ground structures are limited, instead of expanding outward, you're building upward, stacking structures higher and higher while trying to keep everything stable. The hook here is the physics system. Every building you place has weight, balance, and consequences. One bad decision can send entire sections of your city crashing down. Lore-wise, the setting paints a desperate picture. Civilization clinging to vertical megastructures as the world below becomes uninhabitable. It's not just about growth, it's about survival, efficiency, and holding everything together under pressure. And in between your carefully balanced game of Jenga, you'll have bits of events going on. New settlers arriving, seagulls attacking your structures, and other natural disasters to spice up the gameplay. If you like builders with real consequences and a unique twist, this one definitely stands out. And for the last pick of the week, we have Spark in the Dark, arriving in early access April 7th. Now, this one was quite the surprise. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. This is a dark fantasy action RPG dungeon crawler set in a world consumed by corruption and decay. You're exploring dangerous, interconnected environments, fighting through enemies, uncovering secrets, and pushing deeper into a world that feels hostile at every turn. The lore leans into a fallen civilization. Somewhere, something clearly went wrong, and what's left is filled with danger, mystery, and remnants of the past. You can choose from blacksmith, warrior, ranger, or thief. Each brings its own abilities to the table, shaping how you approach combat. And speaking of combat, it's punishing. Every hit stacks a type of damage. Poison from spiders, bleeding from undead warriors, or corruption from lingering in the dark too long. Gear also matters. Playing as a heavy tank reduces your stamina, while a ranger has to manage ammo carefully. Combat is deliberate and skill-based, mixing melee, positioning, and timing rather than just button mashing. Currently, this is a single-player game, but if it ever adds co-op, it can make for some really tense and fun encounters. It's the kind of game that rewards patience and awareness, especially as you dive deeper into its dangerous world. If you're into darker RPGs with meaningful combat and exploration, this one is definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Voices, screams drawing me in. Better use the pendulum.
Finally, as an extra on your radar this week, The Occultist, launching on Steam April 8th. This one shifts gears. It's less about traditional gameplay and more about atmosphere and storytelling. The Occultist is a first-person narrative thriller. You play as Alan Rebels, a paranormal investigator who travels to an abandoned British island after his father's mysterious disappearance. Explore Godstone Island, encounter supernatural entities, and uncover long-buried occult rituals along the way. The focus here is immersion, environmental storytelling, slow exploration, and gradually unraveling what's really going on beneath the surface. It leans closer to an interactive story than a systems-heavy game. You'll investigate, solve puzzles, and piece together events that keep the story moving while revealing the secrets of Godstone. If you enjoy atmospheric horror and narrative-driven experiences, this one could be well worth your time. And that wraps up your early April look at what's coming to Steam. Which of these games are you looking forward to the most? Drop a comment below and let me know. I love seeing what the community is excited about. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss the Next on Steam showcase. Catch you next week for more early Steam releases, hidden gems, and maybe a few more disastrous building experiments. And remember, in all will fall, one wrong move, and your city comes crashing down. Kinda like my cooking last night. Seriously, don't ask.